figures now that the interest rates have been dropped by 1%. I'm going to showcase the Conradi Park development. What is Conradi Park? What does it consist of? What is the new town? What is the development infrastructure that's going to be happening in the surrounding areas? I'm going to touch briefly on the actual investments, the model, what sort of rental returns you can receive, what sort of capital growth. I'm going to talk a little bit on the industry at the moment in Cape Town. So I think we're going to get started. Huge warm welcome. My name is Tony Enderley, founder of Realtor of Excellence. We've been doing developments for the last 42 years, myself personally for 22 years, and we're really, really excited to be involved in the marketing of this amazing development. Our partners and the developers, it's a joint venture between Western Cape Government and Concor, ourselves, Realtor of Excellence. And what's really amazing is we've got a combined experience over 300 years for this project. So some really, really good brands part of it. Better Bond helping with the finance. The development's been pre-approved by all the banks already, which is really exciting. Milton's Matsamela doing the transferring and the bonds, DHK, Oricom, some really powerful names in the industry. But you know, if you look at Concor, over 100 years of building experience, they've built half of Cape Town. So if this picture really brings it home for me, so we're very, very lucky and privileged and humbled to live in probably one of the most beautiful cities in the world. If you just look at this picture on what Concor has developed, from the Cape Town Stadium to a portion of the waterfront to buildings in Cape Town to the cable car on top of Table Mountain. Really great track record, very sophisticated, and super exciting to have them part of this project. So the first thing I wanted to start with in Cape Town, I want to touch base first, is really the what is happening in Cape Town, the property market. What is exciting is Cape Town population growth is sitting close to 4.7 million people. That's been an increase of 30% over the last 15 years. So if you look at population growth, if you look at immigration of people wanting to live in South Africa, a lot of people would like to still retire in Cape Town because the lifestyle that we have, you know, the West Coast, East Coast, vineyards, mountains, very outdoor, very healthy, and it's exciting to see that population growth. Then if you look at what's happening in the actual property market, there's been a lot of doom and gloom in the property market with regarding to values. To me, I see an exciting picture that's unfolding in the market. This graph just illustrates what the national sales have been for the last year. So what percentage of sales and what price bracket are we looking at in the South African property industry? If you look at the whole year, in the last year, property sales registered in the deeds office, only 5% was over 3 million rand. 16% of the market was from 1.1 or from 1.5 to 3 million. 25% of the market was from 800 to 1.5. 25% of the market was from 400 to 800, and in 29%. So if you look at the overall, you know, the market as such in South Africa, the biggest demand is for people wanting to own their first properties. You know, basically from 400 up to 1.5 million is where there is a massive need, and I don't believe that those figures are going to change. The demand is for first-time home buyers going to the market. If you look at what's been happening in capital growth, Cape Town still featuring the best capital growth of 4%, the national average of 2.9%. And I think that's going to be still a common trend, because people, not only from a lifestyle of immigration coming to Cape Town, but you still got a big need for property from offshore investors from Europe, from America, wanting still to live 6 months here and 6 months in Europe. So still that we're getting positive growth. Yes, it's not as 12 or 14% 2 years ago, but we're still getting 4% capital growth. And then, you know, how does that evolve into Conradi Park? Now, Conradi Park is just not another, it's not another development. It's a new community. It's where we live, connect, inspire different people, different cultures, and it's a new town. It's a town for the future. And the locality of Conradi Park is just so exceptional. If you look at really being 600 meters away from Old Mutual, 600 meters, you got 8,500 people working there. We did a presentation there 2 weeks ago. It's a city within that whole, with the whole of Old Mutual. And if you look at distance to the waterfront, 10 kilometers, foreshore, 9 kilometers, City of Cape Town, 11, UCT 8, and then it's still close to the airport, 11 kilometers, and 10 kilometers, the shopping center. So the locality, Conradi Park, is just absolutely amazing. It's close to everything, and you don't get these type of opportunities so close to everything. You have to be really on the outskirts. And what is Conradi Park? Conradi Park is a new community with active streets. Active streets, what does that mean? That means that it's a new town where you can walk to work, you'll be able to walk to the shops, you can go and play in the parks. It's a safe environment. I'll give you an example. You wake up in the morning, you walk your kids to school. At lunchtime, you maybe go, watch them play sport at school. You walk to the shops, you go and, link up with the community integration. Lots of parks, outdoor spaces. It's safe and it's secure, and it really is a new way of living and not getting stuck in traffic, in the hustle and the bustle. And it really, is super exciting, where Conradi Park has so much to offer. So this is the overview of Conradi Park as a town. To give you indication, Pinelands on the left-hand side, over here, Thornton on this side. Pinelands, as it stands at the moment, has got a population of around 7,000 people. Thornton's got around a population of 3,000 people. Conradi Park, once it's developed, there will be close to 11,000 people working, living in this community. So a lot of people also, well, Tony, how are people going to get in and out? There's going to be a lot of people working in this community, using the retail in the community. There's commercial and office opportunities in the community, the school, the parks. So it's an integrated new suburb with wide streets, wide to make it pedestrian friendly. And the view of it is, when you're in Conradi Park, you don't use your car. So at the end of the day, it's a town of the future. If you look at the top, you've got two major entrances coming into Conradi Park. One on this side with the community hall, which will be staying part of the hall for the community. And it's a heritage building, very exciting. And we've got another entrance on this side. The balance of Conradi Park is secure. There's camera access, so it's a safe, secure environment. But there's a pedestrian walkway from Thornton side, so the residents from Thornton are able to come into Conradi Park, use the parks, come to bring their kids to school, walk to the shops and the creches. So very exciting. This is the commercial retail precinct. We will have your restaurants, your coffee shops, doctors, dentists, anything that you need from a community shopping retail sort of experience, and it's more community based. Then we've got 150 key hotel, obviously being very close to Old Mutual and to the airport. It is a vital part of the actual community. Then we have 3 pocket parks, and then a 22,000 linear park. So this is where we'll have park runs. When kids go play, they can go play in a safe, secure and fun environment. So people use and activate the streets. Then we've got 3 creches. We've got a private school from grade R, primary school, high school, and then tertiary education. So we'll have facilities that link through to that. For us, it's very exciting to be finalizing with Generations Private School. Generations is very exciting to have part of this community, because it is an entrepreneurship school where they teach entrepreneurship, which is a vital part of South Africa and the future of South Africa. So basically really catering for everyone's needs. And very, very importantly, is there is going to be something for everyone from different price points. There will be our first block of Kirstenbosch, which we have launched to the market already, been very successful, to first-time home buyers, which is going to be price range from about 600,000 to 750,000. That will only be opened up to people who've never owned property before. and they will have a subsidy on their properties. So we'll have close to 3,600 homes, which will be split between first-time home buyers to open market stock and a rent-to-buy sort of scenario where people are building up their credit rating that they can rent, and in 2-3 years they can buy into a community. So very, very exciting to have this type of community. Some development figures: housing, you're looking at about 217,000 square meters, close to 3,600 homes. Commercial, 63,000. So we'll have some really big corporate head offices to, some co-working space, urban gyms, doctors, dentists, retail, shopping, to restaurants and coffee shops. So it's going to be really cool atmosphere and vibey sort of town. Your hotel, retail, and your schools. So it's all based to be involved in a community-based retail with 4 parks, security, pet friendly, and just some highlights. It's centrally located, active streets with 24/7 secure monitoring, pedestrian bicycle friendly streets, and for us that is very, very important. Green and sustainable, modern architecture designed for the future. Community convenience, business hub with 150 key hotel, 3 creches, 2 schools, 3 pocket parks, 22,000 square meter linear park, fiber ready with free Wi-Fi spots, pet friendly, rent with the subsidy, first time home buyers with the subsidy, and market residential. So, a lot of people say, well, Tony, this is a big development. It's not just a new town. You're looking at the developer spending close to 400 million on an upgrade of Forest Drive. They're going to create a dedicated NMT route, which is a non-motorized transport route from Conradi Park along Forest Drive towards the railway station, with security, lighting, cameras, keeping people safe. So, imagine you're working at Old Mutual and you walk to work or you get onto your bike, it's secure, it's safe. They're also upgrading the railway station, new bridges linked to the old new bridges to link Old Mutual Railway, new intersection from Old Mutual to corner of Jan Smuts and Forest Drive. It's going to create over 2,000 jobs, and I think in a time of ever, this is the time where South Africa, we need to create jobs, we need to create opportunities, and this is going to be a game changer. Close to 3 billion rand investment in South African economy. And a lot of people say, well, Tony, what about traffic? At the end of the day, traffic is everywhere in the world. It's one of those discussion points, with new developments brings traffic. Yes, it does. I live in the Bloberg area. It's one of the fastest growing areas in South Africa. We've got over 150,000 people living in this area. But the biggest problem is, how do you get to Cape Town? So you've got an hour way to work and the way back to work. Things are changing. People would rather live closer to where they work, have a better lifestyle, because what is one of our biggest assets? Our biggest assets is time. And if you look at what time we spend, and this is a really classic graph on, if we live up to 7 to 8 years, what do we spend our time on? The biggest time is 28 years we spend sleeping, 10.5 years we spend working, 9 years on social media networks, and so on and so on. And if you look at commuting, 1.5 years basically sitting in a car, going to work and back to work. And I think one of the biggest fundamentals, especially in these times where we're situated now, we start to step back and say, how can we change our lives? If you look at how many people are at home right now, still working, still active. I'm busy in my home office. I'm communicating to you all over the world. And because of technology, we're able to do that. So I do think that more and more people and corporates are going to allow people working close to where they live, so they don't spend 2 hours a day of their life in traffic. So yes, it is an issue all over the world. Show me a city that doesn't have a traffic issue. The developers are putting mega infrastructure. So if you look at the overview of Conradi Park, this is from another level over here. If you follow my pointer on the left is Old Mutual, and this is the pedestrian-friendly section comes through from Conradi Park. This is the pedestrian bridge that runs through from Thornton. So those residents can use the facilities, they can come to the parks, they can go to the shopping, they can use the school. And then you've got the extension of Forest Drive, Jewel, all the way going through with a big bridge being built So there's lots, and that is happening now. So the developers are really spending the money. They're really widening the roads. They're making the bridges wider, and this just brings another elevation of the infrastructure. So now, you've got Conradi Park, which is a new town of Pinelands. Our first phase, which is very excited, which we launched about 3 weeks ago, is Kirstenbosch at Conradi Park. Every development that we do within Conradi Park will be featured after a landmark within Cape Town. So very exciting theme that will be running through. The development is mainly out of face brick aluminium windows, really funky, trendy architecture, sticking to the times, which is really exciting. It shows you the piazza, really community friendly and very upmarket. So this is our piazza of Kirstenbosch, where there'll be coffee shops and a really cool environment to live, work, play, and educate. Our interior 3D, so all the units, vinyl flooring, dual color kitchen cupboards. You'll have engineered stone counters, really funky, trendy, big like terraces with balconies. Your bathrooms, frameless glass showers, built-in toilets, mixer taps. So really trendy and upmarket. This gives you a good view of the lounge, kitchen, dining room area, track lighting, shutterboard concrete. So a really funky design internally, with terraces opening onto the balconies, overlooking your courtyard, which is really, really amazing. So if you look at the Kirstenbosch, there's 99 units. It's got a basement parking. So you come into your basement, you go into an elevator, which caters for young, medium age, and the guys that don't want to worry about stairs. I've got guests coming through, they'll come through a central concierge area, 24/7 security. So it's really been thought of everything. Landscape courtyard, all the units will be fiber ready. Integrated solar heating. What do we mean by that? Is normally, traditionally, old developments, you will have a geyser in every unit. Here, you've got a centralized heating system. So each unit, you pay for what you use. So, you're not sitting in a situation where, let's say you do go out to the shops or go watch a lighty and play sport, the geyser bursts, floods the unit, and now all of a sudden you've got damage. So this, it saves, it brings down the cost factor down. And in today's times and a lot of people ask me, Tony, why aren't you building houses? Why aren't you building like bigger plots? And the fact is that we need to cater. If you look at the first slide that I showed you at the beginning, is population growth and the first-time home buyers. How do we get more people to own property, their own asset? And that's really by creating it. How do you make it user-friendly? How do you make it cost-effective? What's sustainable? So a lot more people rather have a smaller, funky apartment than a big house with a big garden, because with a garden, you got maintenance. With a pool, you got water situations, you got cost of electricity, you got running costs. How do you create something that's sustainable for the future? So that's why we've gone brick, we've got an aluminium window, we've got the integrated solar heating, and we've gone really trendy and upmarket. So really, really exciting. So when does this all start? The developers and Concor and team are already on site. They're already putting the surfaces on, they're putting the bases on the first buildings. So construction and services have started. We are hoping to be completed mid 2021. How do you get a unit? Financials at 3% deposit. It includes all your transfer and duty costs. It excludes your bond costs. And like I said, it's been pre-approved by all the banks for bond already. So the banks have already valued it. They see the value. We're getting 100% bonds, which is really, really exciting. This just gives you an overview of Conradi Park right now. They're busy putting the services. They're putting the structures ready to start building. So this is the first 4 blocks. This is a great view to show how close it is to Cape Town, the beautiful views that it has. To be in an established area with trees already and so close to everything is absolutely a game changer. shows you from another view from the Forest Drive extension, and how close it is to everything else with Thornton behind. So really, really exciting. Investment snapshot. So Tony, what sort of rental income? So we've already done a pricing matrix on what sort of rental income you can get. So a studio, and this is in current prices. We haven't inflated these prices. We'd rather give you the right information than give you inflated information. So a studio right now in the current market, if you look at Woodstock or Century City, all the new blocks, you're looking at studio at around 8,500, or one bed 9,500, two beds 12 to 15k, and a duplex 17,000. So what does that mean in real terms? So I really love showing this graph and going, if you're renting right now, and I don't know how many of you are renting or own your first property, but if you look at renting property versus buying, and I have this, a lot of people is try and get into the market. What's nice about new developments is you're buying today, you put down your deposit, you're going to receive interest on that deposit. Next year, June, July, you haven't spent a cent on it because you only start paying once the property is registered in your name. So you're getting a full year of capital growth. And at the end of the day, if you're renting, let's say you're renting at 7,500 Rand a month, you would have lost in 2020 close to 90,000 Rand. If you rent again for the same value in 2021, without taking the escalation of that rental, you would have lost another 90, it's 180,000. So, over 5 years, if you rent for the next 5 years, from now to 2024, you would have lost 450,000 Rand on your rental because that would have gone to someone else's bond. But you haven't lost that only. If you had bought, let's say you buy a studio from us in Conradi Park, you would have got at a 4% capital growth, which I showed you in the first slide. You would earn 37,000 in year one, and you take that over 5 years, you would have then basically lost another 205,000 of capital growth. So over 5 years, if you rent right now versus buying, you're going to lose close to 655,000 Rand, which means you could have really bought almost a studio cash. So our view, and we do this in our first-time home buyers workshops all the time, is really, you're not going to buy your castle in your first purchase of buying a property. But if you can just get into the property ladder, and new developments is really, really good for that, because first, you got no transfer costs. Second, you're buying right now, but you're not paying till June, July. Even if you look at in today's current time with what's happening with the world and the coronavirus, is that you can buy now. We know that this is going to get resolved, and hopefully sooner than later. And you've bought a property and you are linked to population growth. We know that the population growth is going to carry on growing. We know that there's going to be first-time home buyers wanting to own their first property. You're always going to have people that rent because they can't buy. So you're always going to have a market. So it's very unlike the stock market, which has seen losses between 30 and 40%. Property market will always carry on growing because you're linked to population growth. So if you look at the studio investments, so studio investment, if you had to buy one today at 949, you would have to put down a 29,000 Rand deposit. Your bond repayment, which will only again be next year, June, July, will be at 8,143. Your rental income will be 7,500, which gives you a 9% yield. And after year one, not only have you received interest on your deposit, which is normally around 6%, but you've made capital growth of 4%. So your 29,000 Rand, you would make back in year one. So you've made 100% of your money in year one. In year two, that is all again, it's pure capital growth. So you take your capital growth and your yield, you're talking double digits, which is fantastic in today's times. If you look at a one bed, purchase price of 1,499, your deposit is 45,000, your bond repayment is 12,000, your rental income is 10,000, your yield is sitting at around 8%, capital growth 4%, 59,000 Rand over after year one. Again, you've got 100% of your capital in year one. So it really is a great opportunity to get into these developments. 2-bedroom units, you're looking at 1,899, deposit of 57,000, bond repayment 16, rental income at 13, a yield at 8%. And guys, we do think that we're going to get another interest rate drop within the next 2-3 months. I had discussions 2 weeks ago everyone was talking about a 0.25, 0.5%. If you follow me on social media, I called 1%. There was 1% that was reduced, and I think that we can see more of that with oil price down, inflation down. I do think that we're going to get another 1%. But if nothing changes right now, at 8% yield is absolutely fantastic. Our team is online, even with what is happening. We probably South Africa's first virtual cloud-based estate agency, which means that 80 members in Cape Town all work on our virtual digital platforms. So we can have one-on-one meetings with you through our platforms to explain the investment, to explain the opportunity. So if you're wanting to speak to our team in more detail, we will send everyone who joined the webinar today a copy of this presentation and the video, the updated price list, a fact sheet, and any information that you might, do you qualify? Our Better Bond team can have a conversation with you, get all your details, get you pre-qualified, and we could have something for you. So Kirstenbosch, which is very exciting, our first block. We've got other blocks that we are going to be launching. The first-time home buyers, we've got close to 250 people on a waiting list for that. That's going to be launching in May, June. So that's also very exciting. And then I would like to just end off with a really powerful quote from Robert Kiyosaki, and that means, you could be in a scenario now where you're renting, you don't want to make the change, and sometimes you have to take the leap. You have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in knowledge. If you are buying an investment, your goal should be, and I quote this, that imagine you had 10 properties paid for, bringing you income of between 7,500 rand, bringing you 70,000 rand a month. If you had 10 properties, bringing you income, bringing you 70,000 rand, you could be anywhere in the world and you wouldn't be stressed because you've got money coming in, rather than having a nice big house. And if you live in your house, it is an investment, but it's actually a liability, because if you live in a house right now, it's costing you rates, it's costing you water, you're living in, yes, it's going to go in capital growth, but it's not bringing you income. I'd rather have 10 smaller properties, or 5 smaller properties, or even 2 smaller properties than 1 big property. And I say 2 smaller properties bringing me income rather than me living in my investment costing me money. So I do think that the world's changing. I think that in the future, people are going to go a little bit more smaller, bringing their costs down and having a better lifestyle. And this quote from Robert Kiyosaki, knowing you need to make a change isn't enough. You've got to find the guts to do it. So if you are sitting on the fence and you need help, you don't know how to, we are there to help you. And that is our presentation for today. I hope you have enjoyed it. And if you guys have got any questions, or please feel free to give us a shout. We're online. Everyone will be getting a link to this video within the next half an hour. We will send the updated price list. If you are interested in reserving a unit, we've got reservation agreements. So basically what would happen, you would choose a unit, you would fill in the details, you would basically put the deposit details, you would sign it. Then with this reservation agreement, that would go to our bond team. Marlene will be in touch with you to see if you qualify. And even if what's the worst? If you don't qualify, Marlene can say, this is what you need to do over the next 6 months or the next 12 months. Make it as a learning curve, because if you don't change, like I said, or give yourself the opportunity or a goal to own another investment property or to own your first property, if you don't know, it doesn't cost you anything. If you do a reservation agreement and let's say you don't get qualified, you get your deposit paid back. So you really got nothing to lose. The only thing you got to do is to gain. And by knowing it and by asking the right questions, it gives you the opportunity to get into the market. So I wish you all the best. I know it's lockdown happening this evening, but I do believe that we've got the right leader. Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa has made, I think, all South Africans proud. I think it's going to bring the nation closer together. And I think that we just have to be patient. And within this time, let's, improve ourselves. Let's spend time with our families. and let's and you know what changes. This is the time to, I say this to our teams all the time, is in this time reflect. What can you do differently, knowing all the circumstances? You know what where you positioned. What can you change if this had to happen again? And you can only really, if you think of this as a small challenge and open-minded on how you can change it, and be positive, and yeah, send positive vibes out there. I wish you all the best. That's me, Tony Endley, from the Realtor of Excellence team and the Conradi team. I hope we have given you a lot of food for thought if you're looking at Conradi Park. And we wish you all the best for the next 3 weeks. We are online, and we'd love to hear from you. Thanks very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.